Hello, and welcome to Concerning Cremlings, a podcast where we dive deep into Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere and mostly beyond because we're going to get sick of this soon. Join us as we read through the Cosmere in more than a year in publication order. I'm Simon.
I'm Esther.
I'm Elliot.
I'm Jonas.
In this week's episode, we will be discussing the last book of Mistborn Era 1, The Hero of Ages. In this episode, we'll have spoilers for other books in the Cosmere, but we're going to timestamp them, so you don't have to worry. We'll let you know when we're going to talk about them, and we'll let you know when we're done. We won't spoil anything otherwise. Okay, what did we think? So,
Good.
I'm the only one who read this for the first time. Everyone else, it was a reread, yeah. So,
All right.
Who wants to start with it?
I think we have an order. We have an order on the.
Wait. Esther, Simon, Elliot, and
we do.
Let's go first. Okay. I really enjoyed it. I was kind of talking crap about it earlier when we were before the recording started. But I think I've just been in a weird mood where I'm just having to push myself to read because I'm just getting kind of tired of the same writing style and stuff. So I'm looking forward to having more variety and reading his later books as well. Not Wind and Truth, but the other ones.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think I think the first half of it kind of for me. I think it is important information, especially if you're reading the series for the first time. It can be really helpful to have a lot of that consistent reminders, but rereading it, to me, it just got kind of repetitive. But the last half is so powerful. I love Spook's chapters, Marsh's chapters. Both of those were really great. And just the way that he writes their characters feels so different from how we've experienced Vin these last three books, or even Elend. And so I really appreciate that. And the ending, even though it definitely is maybe sad when you're first reading it, for some people, I definitely think it makes perfect sense. And I think he tied it together so beautifully. So yeah, I would give it, I don't know, I might give my rating maybe last because I'm still thinking.
Okay, sure. So I'll go next, and I'll say how I felt the first time I read it, and then I'll say how I felt this time I read it. So the first time I read it, I think I gave it 5 stars. It was one of my favorite Cosmere books. The ending, I loved the ending. I loved the characters. It just it grabbed me in a way, and it was it made me very excited to read more of the Cosmere. And I think I read that was when I was still finishing Stormlight, so that was a good reading time for me. But I really liked it. But this time, I honestly didn't like it as much. I think it just kind of a lot of the emotional hooks didn't sink in as much this time, and I still liked it a lot. It's just I feel like these books, at least for me, don't hold up as well rereading them. But I'd give it probably a 3.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think similarly, it's kind of sad because in some ways in a lot of ways I'm really glad that my reading caliber has changed and my standards for what I think of as a good book have evolved as I've read more books. But I think it's kind of sad because when I first read it, yeah, it was very similar. I was oh my gosh, this is so amazing. I love the way that he writes this. It's so my favorite author, but the more that you reread it, the more you're going to see the flaws. But we've said with all of his books so far, just because we see those flaws doesn't mean that we like him any less. We still love his works.
Yeah, and there's some books where that, at least for me, I love the Elantris. I really enjoyed rereading it, and I understood the flaws. I just didn't care. And I think when you love something like that, the flaws don't bother you as much. And so yeah.
Okay,
Elliot.
So, I've never read this before, and up until yesterday, I had 400 pages left, and so it's kind of a blur. But I enjoyed I'm conflicted because I did really enjoy the story. The Sanderlanche was so good.
Oh, one of his best.
So
Definitely
many
one of his best.
Oh, what? And but
What?
Yeah.
What?
What?
What? What?
um,
What?
I'm trying. Sorry, I I feel really conflicted though because I was loving it until the second to last page of the last chapter, and I was
Oh,
like, I'm gonna read it.
wait, let us get there for a second.
Okay, I don't. It's different page for you, but it's page 744 for me. Um.
Okay, wait. Sorry, is this like,
Okay.
okay.
This part, I was like, the religions in my portfolio weren't useless after all. He thought, the power flowing through him in remaking the world. None of them were. Not one had the whole truth, but they all had the truth.
Yeah.
Wait, that's different in my book. It just says none of them were. Weren't all true, but they all had truth.
What? Really?
That's weird.
Mine also says, none of them they weren't all true, but they all had truth.
I wonder why it's different.
That's
Wait, so
interesting.
is yours saying they were all true? Like they were all like universalist type theology?
Yeah, it sounded very like, yeah, pluralism,
Yeah.
like universalist, and I was
Which
like,
I think still can be interpreted that way.
I think it could go either way because when I first read it, it reminded me of Narnia in the last book of Narnia, where it's like, everything you've done for this other god, you still did for the true god, or like all the good things you did worshiping, I think Tash, you did for
Yeah.
Aslan, but I guess I don't know.
Oh yeah.
well, it felt like,
I love that book so much.
That's how I took it at least, but whatever.
it felt like because like Cezid's whole like thing was like he had all these religions, but he didn't believe in any of them, so he was like
All
looking
right,
for.
I think we should save this
Okay.
discussion when we
Okay.
get to themes because this is
2.5
like very
out of 5
thematic stuff.
stars. That's my
Oh.
rating.
0.5?
2.5, 9.5.
I was like,
Wait.
that took a whole
Wait, I'm so
2.5
confused.
out of 5? I
Why?
can't hear.
Yeah, because that took away so much from me.
Point.
Really?
Wait, what? It's not. That shouldn't take. That shouldn't ruin the book.
Simon, it just doesn't.
I mean,
what?
I was literally thinking this is 4 stars, and then I don't know.
Now it's 3.5?
Okay.
2.5.
No,
Can I go-
2.5.
Can I go now?
Took off-
'Cause-
It took off a star and a half. That one paragraph.
Just that one paragraph?
Yeah.
'Cause I said I'm gonna say 3.5 because I just feel like that first, I don't know, like him just re-explaining stuff really got to me. And like I still love the book, and I think 3.5 is like a pretty average rating. It's just that I know like I still think it's a great book. I think
You know
it's
what? 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. You know what? I feel like I like the book. I enjoyed it.
a good book.
But
so-
I hate the moral. If that's
Yeah,
the moral, we can talk about that later. Sorry, Jonas.
Oh,
You go.
that's understandable. Okay.
It's
So
understandable. How can I say?
Yeah.
I rated this a fairly high because I liked the conclusion. I just liked how it was drew, yeah, it drew everything together.
Yep.
Despite some of the ways it did.
What?
But it did. It showed it put Sazed in a place where he could be happy or where he wasn't. I don't know. It cleared that storyline up. It cleared Spook's storyline. It ended, and he twisted all of these storylines into one.
Yeah.
And this sounds really, I guess you could just say like crazy, but like having a death in your book or like in any book can be viewed or in a movie can be viewed as bad, but it can also just give more and even more depth and more character to a like more personality to a character. Like Kelsier, when he died, you didn't think, oh, well, that's it. Kelsier's, I mean, I'm never going to learn about Kelsier anymore. I'm never going to do anything else with Kelsier ever again. He's still talked about. He was still discussed. Of course, he's not in the books anymore. His character isn't. but like it's like, so I feel like when Elend and Vin die, he tied up, like it's a concluding book, so you have to do something with them, and I feel like giving them a death that makes them justified, and at the end they're basically like saviors. They're basically just it's like I feel like it's Rogue One a little bit, or
Yes.
that
Oh my
Rogue
goodness.
One came after Mistborn, so I mean, but I like that kind of thing. Even though Rogue One everyone died, I still feel like it was a good
What?
movie.
I was just kidding.
I mean, they kind of had to.
Yeah, it was,
Endor season 2 is coming out.
I need to
Like
watch
Yes,
it
I'm
season
so
provided
one.
excited for that.
value.
It's
It
so
provided
good. We
value
could do
to
an
like
episode about it. It'd be fun.
Oh, we
things,
should.
and also have it like in multiple World War II movies. I love watching those, but many character like people die because that was the actual war was like,
Exactly.
and it kind of just shows kind of how fragile life is. I feel like I always like that. I always like showing
Hmm.
how fragile life is and how it gives more. It makes the character even more valuable if they die. It makes them because like now you're not going to see them more often, even though
Yeah,
they're in the
that's
first
true.
three books.
I can
And it
I
has
say
to be. It
something?
can't be cheap. It has to be like. It has to mean something, I guess,
Like it
to the
when
story.
Minor Harry Potter spoilers coming up. It's like very minor. I mean, we kind of talk about it vaguely, but like if you don't want to know anything, then just skip.
yeah, like when a certain person, I don't want to spoil this, but in Harry Potter, the sixth book, when a certain person disappears at the end of the book, um, it really J.K. Rowling really did well with that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it,
You
or even
feel
in
the
the fifth book,
effects of
it's
like.
just yeah, like it wasn't like you later on you learn more about it, but like it
Exactly.
was
Or
kind of good
even.
in a way.
Or even at the end of the Goblet of Fire, because that's like the first
Yeah.
time someone died, and it just felt so like
Mhm.
impactful to the story.
Well,
Because
yeah,
like
and the
now,
fourth
now
one.
nobody's safe.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
can can I say something?
And then continuing. Yeah, for like six,
And
seventh book.
and
With all the
at the end of Deathly Hallows Part One, they really did that well because it kind of gave more depth to that. Like it just really gave that character a good, solid like this is how they spent their life. This is what they gave their life towards. So that's why I'm rating it a 4.5 out of 5. This book, even though it's
Yeah.
really high, if you add it up to 10th thing, it's a 90. So I give it an
Yeah.
A. I think it's an A, but it would have been 100. I would have loved this book unless it
Wait,
would
can
have
you
been
reiterate?
shorter.
Sorry, can you
Uh,
reiterate what take away the 5% or the 10%?
so the
I kind of
last
think I missed it.
10% would be because Brandon doesn't. He just really likes to reintroduce
Oh yeah.
everything.
Okay, yeah.
I think
I think we
Fair
all
I
enough.
said
really
that.
liked his prose, at least so like because it's just like I like short sentences a little bit.
Mm,
And I know his prose typically isn't awesome, but he just takes time to describe stuff. And I know some of the descriptions are a little bit like,
yeah.
like
Plain.
for instance, the once the weak arm of a scholar, it was now muscular and toned from all his stuff. Like sure, reiterating
Hmm.
his army military duties, but like you also are just like for Elend, you're just talking about how he's also changed. So I feel like
Yeah.
he has taken more time to describe things, and I kind of like that kind of prose, but I don't like how he just reintroduced a lot of things. I think if maybe
Yeah.
he thought you know, if because I'm reintroducing something, I'm having a new sort of prose, and or I'm like reintroducing something can be of my way of style of writing, and it's like no, I don't think it's helpful for anyone to constantly reintroduce themes
Yeah.
or stuff
Hmm.
in their writing.
Uh huh.
Do
And he's not subtle, and it hurts the story a lot because
Oh,
of
I
I
that.
know.
think
And
if you
I
got
feel
do you
like
guys? Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm sorry. Do you guys not like the non-subtlety? Because if you don't, I think you will like Gene Wolfe.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today because it was like instead of him being like, "Oh yeah, like I'm gonna let the reader make this connection." Sorry, I cannot focus with the
uh
dog.
huh.
Sorry. Anyway, I was just thinking like instead of like we talked about this last week, but instead of handing the reader like, "Hey, here's this little like hint, like isn't this cool? You made this connection from the last book." Instead, he like reintroduces Hammond for the like first time in dialogue in the book and proceeds to do like a who which clause talking about everything that happened in Well of Ascension to Hammond. And I just was
Yeah,
like, oh, like we remembered what happened and like we can put two and two together. Or
but
like with something
it,
that like Ellen would say, and it was like, oh, now we have to tell you why this is important from the last book. It's
it's
like
almost
I think you have to consider when these books are coming out, it was normal for people to just like pick up one book out of the three and just read
yeah.
it. And so he was writing so that you could read any of the three, I guess, on their
But
own.
it's kind
Which
of
is
like
like it was a trend.
it's a
It's in the Wheel of Time too, because like people would literally just read like the seventh book of Wheel of Time and be like, oh, this is kind of cool. And so I kind of understand that, but it definitely is annoying.
you know like in Harry
I think it was-
Potter how
Oh,
like
I think it might have to do with the publishing and that kind
like
of.
oh,
in Harry
interesting.
Potter like how the intro I there's a well I have two things. And Harry that's how Harry Potter is too. It's kind of like oh yeah, they kind of reintroduce Harry in like the first chapter.
Well, I feel like that is like, oh, that's YA.
That's a little different. Yeah.
No.
But also I think it's also it's how how like reading has changed because it used to be kind of like you go to a bookstore and you kind of just look and you're like oh this looks interesting so you pick it up and
And
so
like
you
not all they're not going to have every single book in the series at the bookstore sometimes. So it's just like
like
you
you
just pick up a
maybe
book.
you maybe
Yeah,
you just
I don't
like see this and you're like this looks cool I'm gonna pick this up I'm gonna read this and it tells you what happens and maybe you realize it's like the third book in the series and maybe you'll go back and read those but like nowadays reading is different because like usually like how you read books is someone will suggest it to you and then you'll go and buy it and it's
Yeah.
not and so it changes so you're like oh I know this is a series I'm going to start on the first book
Yeah.
instead of like kind of yeah
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's very good.
But I think you guys are picking. I think you guys are picking up on something that we've all picked up on is and that he's not good at that at reintroducing stuff like that. It's just very. It feels like he's hitting you on the head
I
over and
know.
over again.
Yeah,
So
precisely.
I was looking back at our ratings I rated every single Mistborn book exactly the same each one is 3 out of 5
the thing is,
Right.
I
Oh,
kind of
really?
agree. They're like all 3 to 3.5s, but I think the series as a whole is closer to 4 because they
Yeah.
fit together so well.
All
Should we-
7 would be definitely, yeah.
Should we do
But even
should we
just the
do-
trilogy just is so
Okay.
tight and like interlocked.
Should we do
Yeah.
Should we do like a Mistborn Era 1 rating? Like, should we all say our ratings for Mistborn Era
Oh, good
1?
idea.
Sure.
Okay.
I can give mine quickly. I think I already said
Go
it.
ahead.
I'd
would
give
you
it a
say?
4. A 4 out of 5.
I would say the same. It's
I would say
because it's the earlier ones kind of shave off some.
I'm gonna say 4 out of 5 as well.
I
Say it.
hate
Elliot's like, I have to do 3.5. I have to.
just kidding.
It's like an impulsion thing.
I hate to be
Do it.
like
Like, because of universalist theology.
Do it now. I don't think it's
Um,
that. I don't think that's what it. Well, maybe it is, but
I think it
I think
is.
it could be. I think it could be taken either way.
Honestly, let me
I
think.
definitely thought that when I first read it, but I definitely think, yeah, you can interpret it how you want to.
Well, I interpreted it that way and I didn't like that, okay?
Also, Brandon Sanderson was very conservative at the time of writing these books.
Was
He was?
for a moment when he was
Yeah.
like
He-
the hero
He's
was
talked about it.
They made it so the hero is neither male or female. I'm like, wait,
I
Brandon.
thought that was genius. Or maybe not genius, but I thought that was so clever.
yeah,
I thought,
that was I would give it a 4 out of 5 also. So we all have 4 out of 5.
Nice.
but I think that's kind of a point to like sometimes series are greater than the sum of its
Wait,
parts.
that's the wrong one actually.
Because like it's how
That's-
like
I guess that's
the
true.
Dark Tower, like that's how some of my favorite series are, like the Dark Tower and the Wheel of Time. Like any one book,
Mhm.
like the Wheel of Time. But it's the thing with those is just like those are kind of just one continuous story. Some books don't really have like clear resolutions. But anyway,
Let's move into
Yes.
what world
What do we have?
building.
Okay,
World
Yeah,
world
it's
building.
building.
good
Wait,
talking right there.
what? So, what was new?
a lot
lot.
of stuff was
A
new.
lot of things. We found
I see.
out about Khandra. We found more about the Koloss, which are extremely disturbing.
Yeah.
And
Honestly,
the terrace.
the terrace.
I think
Niche.
the Koloss were a pretty cool invention by him.
They were?
Yeah. I think there
'Cause
needs to be a Lord Ruler prequel.
I've never really
Interesting.
That'd be
I've never
cool.
we do need maybe that's what he's doing. I just feel like it's a
Like,
cool
WAP
monster.
too.
Like creating monsters sounds easy, but like I feel like they
But
require
this
detail
one's
too.
it's unique. It's like unique. It's like cool. And I love we learned about the origin of the Khandra, the Koloss, and the Inquisitors.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
We
Yeah.
learned a lot. Oh, we learned about savants.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Like Spook.
Savants is like Spook
When you're constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was.
So, I think
Yeah, I
this
think-
was
That whole thing with Spook too, which this can bleed into the characters, but like him doing this because he feels like he needs to do works and like prove his worth because he feels like he's always been a side character all the time. I thought that was really cool to just like be inside his head and like experience, because in the first book you're kind of just like, oh yeah, he's just like this random guy who's like kind of like Sven maybe or something, and he just like is there. But like him coming to being a prominent character, I actually was kind of upset because I watched this video and this guy was talking about why he hated that Spook became a main character.
What?
It's like,
Honestly,
best
Spook
part
is
of the
my
book.
favorite character.
I know.
Doing a
That's what I was
love
saying.
arc with Spook.
This
How
guy
can you
has
not?
6,000 subscribers too, and they were in the comments like, "Oh my gosh, yes!" And I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Some people just get
Yeah,
bait, like
he's
you know, there's
like a
rage
side
bait and all that
character.
stuff. Like
You took him from a side character to the main character, and I just don't think Brandon does that very well.
if I created a YouTube channel where I hated on men and said feminism should be even more extreme, I would get
You
more
would get
followers.
so much. You would get so
Even though I
much
don't believe that.
engagement.
We should do that. Do an episode. Why men suck and and then in parentheses, and feminism is good.
I mean, yeah, or
And then the
or if I
next
did
week
the
we
opposite,
make
where
the
I said
opposite.
why
Yeah.
misogynism is
Like
awesome
Elliot, like-
and why women
Yeah.
suck.
like that.
I would get people if I did that too.
Yeah, and then we
And
do the
Esther,
opposite.
you're like hiding in the corner.
We have two videos just right next to each other.
That would be.
No, yeah, I'm like in like an
And
apron.
Jonas and I
I'm
are,
like in an apron, like making food in the kitchen.
And then the second one, I have an apron. And
Yeah,
I'm
you have,
making
like-
food.
Yeah,
have
and then like it's
apron
like
on.
me in the kitchen, and then the parallel is Jonas in the kitchen with an apron.
Oh, Esther, you're like hiding in the corner with like an apron on.
Yeah,
Like,
wearing like a full length dress.
Oh
like
my gosh.
that'd be so funny. No, yeah, but anyway, this guy, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, he honestly, the whole video was really poorly orchestrated. I don't know why he has that many
Who
subscribers.
was he?
I'll have to go look and send it, but
Okay.
I just was like, and then he's like, why did Spook never mess up? Literally, he just did it. I was like,
I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
he
did.
was like under Ruin's control for like a
Yeah.
good chunk.
yeah, and like I just feel like his whole thing was ruined because Ruin was there, and I was like, I don't think
That was his whole thing.
That was the point.
Yeah,
Ruined
like-
it.
I don't really know like what you want me to say to that, but okay.
Well, Some
So
people
yeah, that
just,
was kind of stupid.
some people are not very literate.
Yeah,
I mean,
and what's unfortunate is it's like I totally think that everyone should have like a place to talk about their feelings about a book, but like we've talked about with the reviews,
Not if your feelings are dumb.
but not if like you're writing out like a full paragraph and then you're like, oh, by the way, I didn't actually finish the book, or like,
okay.
oh, by the way, I didn't even understand how this works, and I've only read 2 books in the Cosmere. It's like, no, like do your research if you really want to get invested in it, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the Sanderson community is going to attack you. So, yeah.
Also, let me preface this by saying, let me say, you're allowed to not like Spook in this book. Just give us reasons why.
No, you're totally okay to do that, but like
Oh,
if you're
just-
like, well, just because it's like
Yeah, as
Well,
the great
actually-
the chess greats of all time once said, you know, Magnus Carlsen. He once said, you know, people are entitled to their stupid opinions. So
yeah, it's true. And we might think their opinions are stupid, but everyone can still have them, and
Yeah.
everyone can share them. But don't try to make a living off of it. If
That's
you're
the beauty. That's the beauty of America. Everyone
If you
can
have
be as
6,000
stupid as they want.
If you
No,
have 6,000
it's-
subscribers, I would hope you put some effort into
I
thinking
mean, his
through
video
your.
was literally just it was an 11-minute like him just talking about it, and then he proceeded to essentially just talk about why he didn't like it and why it was the least best book in the Era one, and it took him forever to read it because he hated it. It dragged, whatever. And I was like, okay, like, yeah.
I definitely didn't drag.
So you're so positive that you said least best instead of worst.
Yeah, I'm an eternal optimist, okay? My mom got me an optimist sweatshirt. Like, it's like intense.
That one was the least best one. Back to world building.
Yeah, back to world building.
I mean, there's not too much to say about it. It's just
Feeling
like
nice.
continues to be at least it continues to be the strongest aspect of this book, I think.
Jonas, what was that? Where's that you, Esther?
That was me. I'm trying to find the video of the guy, and it just starts playing electric music.
All right, we're gonna link him in the description, and everyone just go over to his channel and start
comment,
hating on him.
Yeah.
Everyone subscribe and then start typing comments.
Normally, I don't condone hate, but this time I'll allow it.
Under certain conditions, it's okay.
All right, do we have anything else to say on world building? Okay, this is super random. Can we take a moment to appreciate these amazing covers?
Yeah.
These covers are so good.
I know.
They I don't know. I just love them.
I thought we were talking about our YouTube channel podcast covers.
No.
Here, let me put these all
Brandon
out.
Sanderson's covers are so good for me.
They're hit or miss, but these ones are just like different.
Well, okay. It's so interesting to look at too. Like it's just like fascinating. Okay, so we need to move on. Unless anyone has anything else to say.
No,
we can talk about. Okay, we need to talk about Ellen today because we said we would.
Because we kind of talked about Spook already, so we can do Ellen and
it's I can't be sorry.
Wait, I just have one thing about Spook actually. Before, what do you guys think? At the end, I guess it doesn't matter because I don't think we'll ever see Spook again because Era 2 is like 300 years later. Yeah. I don't know, but Sazed was like, "Oh yeah, you're a Mistborn now, Spook."
Yeah, he becomes the Lord Mistborn. That's what he's known as. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
he's like the Lord. He's like the ruler, kind of. He's like king.
I guess.
I think he becomes the emperor.
Oh, whatever.
I always he became in some kind of leadership role, and
it's really easy. All I gotta do is just look at the map.
I love.
It'll just tell you.
That's also true.
I love about Spook's character.
So Alloy Law map.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to Alloy of Law, but the maps, there's a lot of Easter eggs in the map.
I'm honestly really excited for Era 2.
Alloy of Law is so good. I loved that one so much, and it's so short and so well written. Like, I love it. Yeah. Maybe I'm going to start bashing it, but hopefully
there's Elendel and Vindio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's somewhere named after Fell? What?
Okay, I don't know if this isn't too big of a spoiler, but okay, we can maybe spoiler stamp this, I guess.
Yeah,
but the main character in the Era 2 is a descendant of Breeze.
Yes.
Yeah. What's Breeze's last name?
I forgot.
Breezerson.
No, it's Ladrian. Wax Ladrian.
Yeah.
Yes, Ladrian.
That name
is a descendant of the house.
Too, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Can I say something about it?
He made it cool, Esther.
I know. That's one of the times Brandon actually slayed with his name.
I don't like these covers.
Yeah, these covers do suck.
I can grab my cover really quick.
I have a book gripe. I do not like real people on book covers. Like
I also agree.
This is the only exception for me.
Like when they
these covers.
The cover because the movie came out, that's stupid.
Mm-hmm. These covers are really cool.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this is a painting, but it's still. It looks.
And then this is Shadows of Self, which we have wax.
It's cool.
And then
wait, we're getting okay. We got
which is fun.
Ellen. Ooh.
I had something to say about Spook.
Oh, speak.
Oh, Spook. Okay.
Oh, speak.
Speak
boy.
Speak boy.
I love his the way Brandon Sanderson treats leadership. I think in this book, and he writes about leadership a lot, and we'll get to that in Stormlight with the different kinds of leadership. Explored with Kaladin and Dalinar and stuff, but with Spook, it's almost like at the beginning he just he falls into this role of leadership, and it's natural to him, and he's almost like another Kelsier, and it's just it's just his development is so good. It's the way he leads this people, and even though he's under Ruin's influence, he the way he saves the kids from the burning building. It's just like it's so cliche superhero that it works
is,
so well.
but it works. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's
I
like
agree.
Spider-Man. If you guys remember the Tobey
Oh,
Maguire
yeah.
Spider-Man's when he's
Oh
like
yeah, after
saving
he
the
doesn't
kids.
have powers.
Yeah, and he like goes into the. It's just I don't know. It's just like there's something about it that's so like
I feel like
he's
it
like a gravitational like
yeah.
person, and
It brings like nostalgia, especially like you're saying, like Spider-Man or like classic superhero stuff. But
and
it
just
makes sense.
and also like the image of him having his like wrapped around in with like a
Yeah.
cloth all the time. It's just and he's like when Sazed and Breeze come to get to your toe, and they're like, and Spook is just like, oh hey, what's up guys? And they're like, what
Yeah.
the heck?
I
But-
like loved looking at all the fan art of him for that because
Yeah.
it's so cool how like it's like all these flames around him, and then he just has like his dueling cane or sword and his like his
Yeah.
band. So
Baggy clothing and all this stuff.
yeah.
It's very visual. Mistborn is such a visually like it's gonna work. It would work so well as a movie, which is why I think Brandon's prose actually hurts this series specifically because he's not a colorful writer, and so like
Yeah,
a lot of it. I don't know. And it's just like if you like imagine making a Mistborn movie, but like with Marvel kind of production. That'd be so lame.
Yeah.
You need to have an artistic vision with it.
Yeah, I think it has so much potential. Like the whole idea, because wasn't it supposed to be a show on like Prime or something?
I don't know.
No,
I don't
they
think
almost
it got that.
They almost
I don't
made
think
a
it got that
I think it
far.
was almost going to be a movie. Mistborn.
I
Is
thought
this
that- I thought
show
this
still
was
gonna happen or what?
I thought he was like in stage 7 or whatever with the show idea.
I know he never wanted to. I know he wants to do movies, but
Yeah.
I feel like the only good movie would be
With
a
all the
Elantris,
stuff.
like a shorter book, you know.
I think Mistborn is perfect for
Mistborn would
movies.
be Mistborn would be a perfect movie.
Well,
The entire
I know-
series?
no,
no,
the
just
first
one.
book.
Would make
Oh,
I agree.
that final.
And then-
Actually,
I
honestly,
think
the
Brandon-
whole all three.
I know Brandon's talked about wanting to make a movie for the first one, a miniseries for the second one, and then a movie for the third one, which makes
No.
sense
That's what I meant as the show was miniseries.
because the second one is what's the difference?
No, I said
Yeah.
like, that's what I was saying. Like when I meant miniseries.
Okay, yeah, but Well of Ascension is paced like a miniseries, so that makes perfect sense. So
Yeah.
like a political drama.
Like Way of Kings is like similar, where it's like you each part. Honestly, if he really wanted to get into it, each part could be its own movie, but that's like very Hobbit-esque, so I don't think we need to do that.
Well, I think each part should be. Well, I think they should.
season? No.
Yeah.
Television. No.
Like anime the crap out of it.
Yeah,
Make 40 episodes per part.
yeah, exactly.
I always see people like they're like, oh yeah, they should definitely do an animated for like animated
They should.
series. I don't know.
Like, look at
I think
Arcane.
it can be done well.
Imagine Stormlight with Arcane's art style.
I don't think.
You guys
So
don't
back
think
to
that would be great?
characters.
I still think live action for
Yeah, I like live action.
No.
That to me-
Animation is for babies. No.
Yeah, that's what I
It
think
just
too.
would look so cheesy with like the spren. That would look so cheesy.
Depends how they do it.
CGI. I think
it'll be
CGI.
done. I
not
think either
my
way
favorite.
it could be done
I don't know.
Like
more-
Christopher
more
Nolan.
well, whether it's not cartoon, animated or not.
True. But I think Stormlight is just made to be an anime. It's
guys-
so anime.
Guys,
There's so much about it.
we gotta move on. I'm
Wait,
sorry.
what did you say was so anime?
Stormlight. Just like
No.
look at
No,
Zeth.
it's not.
Look at Zeth.
That's
He's literally
what
an anime character.
What if? Okay,
He's
what if
literally an
Stormlight-
anime character?
Zeth is literally. But what if Stormlight was like, Jonas? What are you doing?
And all the characters are Asian.
What if Stormlight was a live action, but then Zeth was inexplicably like anime and like a drawn anime character?
No,
and
literally.
It's like he's like having inner monologues, and they're like, "What are you doing?"
and Kaladin.
What if Shaolin? What if Shaolin looked
Paladin
like
is
a
so
Pixar
broody.
character?
What?
What if Shaolin looked like a Pixar character too?
Yeah, no, I think I could. This is probably so cringy, but I think I could picture. Actually, no, I can't. I was gonna say like Tangled, but also at the same. But then I was like, no, like that wouldn't fit Stormlight.
No, that would
Yeah.
not. Stormlight is too Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All right, we really have to move on.
Yeah.
I just realized.
Other
Guys,
characters, Marsh.
Elend, we have to talk about
Ellen,
Elend.
we've been
So,
sorry.
because
Ellen,
we
like-
spent a long time on Vin last week, we need to spend a long time on Elend.
Yeah, Ellen. Yep.
Because he's like the co-main character, I think.
Yeah. His character arc is so good.
I love his character arc.
All right, that
Anyone
was
else
Ellen.
does anyone else have things
All
to say
right.
about Elend?
Ellen becoming a Mistborn. I don't like that.
But it was so good.
Yeah, it was.
It just works so well.
It
and, like,
works,
He
but
grows up, becomes an adult. It's great.
okay, this is the thing with Mistborn. The
Okay.
morals are bad, but the story itself is good. I don't know how to explain that.
Wait, are you
Like-
saying like Ellen taking over everything?
No, I just think I don't think Ellen should have been a Mistborn because I feel like it goes against everything that Well of Ascension was like doing.
No.
I think that's
No.
what I think.
No. Mm-mm.
Why not?
A
Well,
lot of
why?
Because he was about to
people-
die, so I mean, there's no other way.
And
It was
it's
like-
the only way to save him. And it,
Yeah, no,
and
but
it just
it was
makes
The whole thing was like Vin's like, oh, Ellen doesn't deserve me, you know.
this is going on. We're clipping
I'm
this.
like-
It's going on Instagram.
I'm like a rogue knife. We're not compatible. And then at the end, she learns, hey, we are. But then, and we don't both. She doesn't have to be like they don't have to both be Mistborn. And
She
then
turned into a pick me girl
Ellen
during the second
becomes a
one.
Mm-hmm.
Mistborn, and it's like, what?
It's not like
She's
she
like-
unlearned that lesson.
Like he's
I know.
snapped.
She was like, she literally
ahead.
was during the first one, during the second book, but you know the Church of Survivor are idolizing her as a prominent member and their deity and all that, and she's just like, "They're following me again. Stop! Don't
It makes it even better.
just
Like, you're like-
stop following me, please. Don't stop following me. Don't stop. I mean, please stop following me."
Don't stop.
And
I
it's
mean,
like-
stop.
I forgot what your point was because I'm too distracted by the
That was
things on your.
Just
Jonas was saying in the car, we were driving, and he was like, Ella, he's like, it's like Ben is like, don't stop, and then he was like, and then they say stop, and he's like, I said don't stop.
like
That's
it's
so
like,
accurate.
Yeah.
and then she's like, I kind of need a guy who's like me. We're just not compatible because you don't have powers. And it's like,
Exactly. And then she learns, oh, we are compatible, and then he gets powers anyway.
But it's just so cool. He's like the Mistborn Emperor. That's so
It's
sick.
cool, but I don't like it. That's,
I think
that's
we-
the thing.
The best scene.
Zane
My
could have been the
favorite scene
Mistborn
in the book.
Emperor.
My very favorite scene in the book is when Ellen and Vin just like go into Phaedrix and just join their ball and just like, hey, what's
Yeah.
up? And they're both Mistborn.
I think
That was cool.
I think him being a Mistborn, it's not the same. Also, spoiler alert, for Stormlight, but it's not the same as Adeline and Shalyn at all. I'm gonna be honest, because I think it can kind of feel similar to that, where it's like Adeline's like, actually, I'm better without powers. Blah blah blah. That's great, but like, I think with this, it just makes sense because I don't know, like. I don't really have that good of an explanation, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it.
It just feels right.
It feels right, guys. It just-
They don't love each other for their power. They love each
They
other
don't
for
love-
who
yeah,
they
don't
are.
love each other for
I
their
know.
power.
And it just feels right.
No,
That's
I
just
don't.
right.
No,
It feels
okay, this
right,
is-
and it feels natural. Like, to me, I was like, you're thinking that he's about to die, and then he gets his powers. And at the same time, though, like, I think they both still have, like, such individuality, which is something that I really appreciate about them as a couple, I think, that was really well written, is, like, they're not, like, dependent on the other person. Like, even when Vin is, like, protecting him in, like, Well of Ascension, before he has powers, he's just kind of like, yeah, that's just what Vin does. Like, she just kind of does her thing. And, like, that's, I don't know. Like, it's just something that's an interesting facet of that. So I don't think that they're,
Okay.
like, oh, we need to relate to each other simply because of our powers. Like, that's just who are part
No,
of...
okay. This is my problem. Ellen getting
All
powers.
right, moving on.
No.
He's
can't
like,
steal my
and then
joke."
just cuts to the next scene.
No, I'm the editor.
I think.
No,
I think.
as in.
All right. Pros.
No, shut up.
What do you want to say about pros?
Oh, in Well of Ascension, like as an ending, I think it's a bad ending because like I think but it works. Okay, Ellen being a Mistborn works in Hero of Ages, but I don't think it works as an ending to like Well of Ascension. That's what I think. That's my opinion. You
Because they
guys,
want you to read the next one. It's end story.
I don't like it.
I don't like it.
All right. I guess you don't have to. So okay, I think should we talk about?
Humbly,
we
I
talk-
disagree, and you guys suck.
Should we
Here's
talk
the
about
thing.
Sazed?
You know what?
But also,
Something that my mom always says, we can agree to disagree, okay? So moving on, we're turning the page.
Yeah, okay, we can agree to disagree.
I think
but
we should
I'm
talk
right.
about the I think we should talk about themes now, but we should also talk about Sazed's character, like
Yeah,
with the
because that's a
themes,
big
because they're
part of
very tied together. Yeah.
Pluralism.
Universalism?
Yeah.
Dualism.
That was a theme.
I
Dualism,
don't really
yeah,
think
it was
you're
very
making that up.
dualistic.
Well,
It was very,
dualism is the concept that good and evil are the different
like
sides
good
of the
can't
same
exist
coin.
without ego. Like good can't exist
Sorry, what
without
did you say?
evil.
It's that good and evil are different sides of the same coin, basically.
Oh.
Like good can't exist without evil, and evil can't exist without good, which is wrong. And so this is ruin and preservation, very dualistic.
Yeah.
And so actually, that's why this
And
book.
I don't. Is
it
that
changes to one
Mormon
out of
theology? Is that what Mormons think?
Yeah, Mormonism is dualism.
Mormon theology is just get wives and live on the planet.
Okay.
Polyamorous?
Wives.
This is my
Populate our
first
planet.
wife.
Let's go. Mormonism. Yeah, get wives.
Joseph
Did you hear
Smith
I
was
said it,
like,
guys?
"Hey guys, I had a
Did
vision
you hear I
from
said
God,
it?
and
This is my
I
first
could have
wife.
multiple
That's
wives."
my
These
first
are just
wife.
these are some of my wives.
These are some of my wives.
Wait. Yeah, is that the Minecraft video?
Yeah.
POV Mormons.
Guys
These are
online.
some of my wives. Some of your wives. Sure.
What does that mean? Sure. Sorry, you can keep
No,
going.
I swear,
He's so funny.
Enough. I think they all have enough water today.
What's the water for? It's pee and poop.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Okay.
This is where I buried my first wife when I found out what her and father Zachary were doing.
Father Zachary, where are you?
she's where she is.
Where art thou? Now she's where she is.
Okay.
All right. So
What was I gonna
themes.
say?
Okay.
So we got
because, like,
dualism, pluralism.
Does ruin and preservation? Does Brandon Sanderson actually think that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
hard to
maybe.
tell.
So I'm looking it up right now. I'm getting the AI overview.
You've only seen his first wife. You have.
Because ruin and preservation is very dualistic and it's
Yeah.
yin and yang, basically.
Okay, so it says that it's a blend of monotheism and dualism.
Yeah.
So they do believe in obviously the Trinity.
What? Wait.
That's
They
yeah.
don't.
No, they don't.
No, they believe in two. They only believe in. I thought they only believe in. I don't know. I'm not an expert, I guess.
Well,
No,
they don't believe that
So it
Jesus.
says it's all of them. So it says they're monotheistic because God is sovereign, but I don't know that they believe that.
Well,
Dualism, which is opposing forces. So like Satan exists because God exists, and vice
Yeah.
versa. And then polytheistic because God is three separate beings. But I don't think this person understands what the Trinity means.
no, they believe that
They believe in a Godhead, not in the Trinity.
They believe that Jesus was like just a
Oh.
dude, and then he became God.
Which is why like Joseph Smith is okay.
And yeah, they believe
And
you
then
can
it
ascend to
says,
Godhead.
the theological problem is within Mormonism is if God is all powerful and God is loving, why does evil exist? This problem is solved by dualism. Dualism is heavily leaned on in Mormonism, the good versus evil idea.
Yeah. Which is
Satan must be almost as powerful as God, and humans are capable of tipping the balance towards good. R ex-Mormon. Sorry, laugh.
r/ like a subreddit.
It's a Reddit called ex-Mormon.
I think I've seen that subreddit.
Other polytheistic trappings are demons. Wow. Okay. So 1/3 of the host is the pre-existence that voted for Lucifer's plan. The angels, Gabriel, they believe that Peter, James, and John are also angels. And this person named Moroni, I don't even know who that is. Semi-gods, which are Joseph Smith and others, and the modern prophets. And
Wow.
then this person goes, well, the deeper you dive, the murkier it gets. I'm dizzy now. So anyway, that was really great. So we have a little subsect on Mormonism, guys.
Ooh.
The deeper you dive.
By the way, and Mormonism, what?
Someone said, so this is just all 3 flavors of BS. Okay. So on that note, back to whatever we were talking about.
I wonder,
Sorry.
is there an r/Mormon?
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Have you
I'm
guys
tired.
you guys seen like
Let's
the
move.
secret lives of Mormon wives?
Oh my gosh.
I've
It's
seen the
crazy.
ads for that.
Okay, when I had the flu, I watched the first
This
2
is my first
episodes,
one.
and I was like, I can't even keep watching this because it was so bad. Like, it was literally like, it was like everything that you think of as a Mormon, they were doing the opposite of it and then going to church on Sunday. And they're like, yeah, my husband's cheating on me, but that's just like what happened.
They're on
And
Hulu. What do you think,
what is
Esther?
going on? Like, please stop. That's ridiculous. So their lives aren't
Okay.
very secret because it's broadcasted on national television. So I don't know why it's called secret anymore, but
They're not
Hmm.
secret anymore. Okay, moving on.
like, literally, yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
So I'm not totally against like having. I think it's interesting.
I'm
Like
not totally against
philosoph-
multiple wives.
no, I'm not talking about. This is
First, guys,
not
sign
related.
up for multiple
Not,
wives.
not related to that. That sounded so bad. I just realized. No, I'm not totally against. Like, I think it's interesting to explore, like, having a story where you can explore like dualism, and
Mhm.
like, I think it's interesting that
Yeah.
Rune and Preservation are in this story. And what makes it weirder is that they're actually not the only god. There's like 14 other gods, I guess,
I know.
that make up one god. It's weird, but and obviously it would be stupid to try to make this an allegory because it's
No,
not.
yeah.
Oh yeah, but I think it brings up a lot of interesting philosophical questions. Not saying that Mistborn is very philosophical, but it can.
Guys, there's water wet.
It's like almost like a supposal. It's like, what if dualism did exist? What would happen? And I guess like that could be an interesting, like, thought experiment. And I'm not against like writing stories like that,
Yeah.
but it's just like, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know.
I think, yeah, definitely, like, it's cool to dive into the theological elements. Basically, I was trying to convince my parents to read this last night, and I was like, if you have a lot of time, like, I think you should start with Stormlight. Like, if you have, like, a certain amount of time, because I'm like, I don't want him to just, like, try to read through all of it. So I was like, if you, like, only have time for, like, a small book, like, read Elantris. And I just
A small
explained,
book.
like, well, yeah, it relative. You know what I mean? Like, that's
Yeah.
totally not small. And so I was like trying to like talk through each of them, and they just were like, "This is just I know why." So talk about nonfiction. So
Right.
like they're so used to like my dad like he puts down a systematic theology book like nobody else. Like
He just devours it.
yeah, pretty much. And he literally will read them. Like he reads an insane amount every week for preparation for his sermons, and he loves it. Like that's like one of his favorite parts of his job. Obviously, like he gets to be in the Word like every day.
And I'm
too.
sure you learn so much because he's like is he reading like commentaries and things like that?
Yeah, so he'll read commentaries and then he'll read like he like makes like he'll read because each we have a book of the month too at our church, so like he'll like read that book at like the beginning of the month and be like, hey, like this is the one that we're gonna do, or like if he's already read it. But like it's very interesting because I forget how many like one week he calculated it and it was like I don't want to throw out a number because I don't know exactly. I'd have to ask him, but he puts away like so many books per week just in preparation for that. So it's like he doesn't have a lot of time, so I was trying to figure out which ones. But all that to say, like their idea of like getting into fantasy, I think I've said this before, where it's so like overwhelming to have to be like, okay, like I need to like remember these names and these world building things. But honestly, I think my dad would do really well with it because he's kind of like you were saying, Elliot, with like the Bible thing. Like he's like reading all these complex things. I think Brandon Sanderson's gonna feel like a lower level than that, and he'll be fine.
Not sure how complex Brandon Sanderson is.
Yeah. But yeah, for my mom, she like reads really quickly too. So she'll read several books in a week. which is really fun because like our whole family loves reading. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's cool.
that's
Yeah, that's basically true.
yeah.
Do we have to? So we could talk about. We were talking about themes and Sazed.
Yes.
What do you guys think about the way religion was explored in this book?
I think it was helpful, like looking back on it. I think like in the moment I was kind of annoyed by Sazed's things at the beginning. Like it felt like very like raw
Okay.
and like selfish. And like not that I'm saying like those things aren't real human emotions because they are, but I think we finally like Sazed kind of break. And so he's just kind of like, I literally don't care. Like there's no point for me to continue believing in these things. And and everybody else around him is like, well, say that you just need to like be yourself, which is to say that who loves religion and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. So then seeing him like
Yeah.
him into this new character is so interesting, and I feel like such a good resolution to that.
I think it's interesting how at the very end, before before the paragraph Elliot hates, where it goes through like every religion, a bunch of religions he's studied, where each of them like explore or like center around a really like beautiful thing. Like one of them is about like one of them is about like craftsmanship, one of them is about like nature,
Agriculture and
agriculture, different things like that. But it's like each of them are missing.
Art too.
They're all missing something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. I feel like it's just like there's got to be something that, and I think Sazed kind of learns like all of them. I don't know. All of them have something valuable in them, but is there something value? I don't know.
I think like, to your point. Sorry, Elliot.
Go ahead. I'll go after you.
I was gonna say to your point, I think that like expands more instead of taking the universalist thing out of context, like building on how each religion has good components to it, but like there's like you said, there's something missing in that, and so it's like they need something central to it. Like it's like wow, that's really good, but like it could be there's something else that it needs versus being like like all religions are true and they should all be the same. Like that doesn't. Same.
And it's like I don't know. I don't think Brandon's saying that they should all be the same. That's just not how I took it, and that could just be me like interjecting my own like worldview. And like if it is, so if that's how it is, and I don't, then so be it.
Nice.
Yeah, if you're not going to tell me not to think that way. But
exactly.
Also from a Christian perspective, it feels almost like and this is kind of like more so with Cosmere as a whole, but it feels like almost nihilistic in a way. And Brandon's obviously not a nihilist. That's not what he is. But it's just like these gods feel so impersonal, and it's just like if you're gonna worship this one of these shards, but the shard's like gonna kill you. It's like what the heck? I don't know. And it just feels like the universe he's created is just so like there's shallow in a way. I don't know.
And like they're living in constant fear of like what the god is gonna do to them. I mean, it feels very much like like maybe like Greek gods or that kind of idea too. Like you're saying, where it's like these gods feel so human, like the way that they act and how rash they are.
Yeah, and they're not even gods. They're just
well, because here's one
because
thing.
they killed God.
There is no God. So the concept of God is one supreme being, one deity that does everything correct and right and has all the power. For if something else had more power than God, they would be God. That's why. And if if I knew it was better than God did, I would be God by that definition. Because God knows what's best. God has all the power. God has. That's like the primary qualities. And if you try to take that away, and you say, well, there's more than one God. There's 16 gods or 16 shards. And they don't have all the power, and then you don't really have a god anymore.
Yeah, they're not. They're lowercase g gods, which which I'm okay with that in a story. I think like if you read C.S. Lewis, he had Greek gods in almost every single book he wrote.
Yeah, but I think the difference is C.S. Lewis. He was always pointing to the fact that like there's God, there's a real God up there.
Well, and even Tolkien had one deity that created Middle Earth, like Eru, or something like that.
That was basically the same vein as Aslan, though, where it's like, this is literally God.
Well, and I think
no, it was different. I don't think he was saying It was
Yeah.
like a different universe still.
Right.
Isn't Middle Earth just our universe in the past?
Kind of. I mean, it's like a myth, so it's not real.
It's like a sorry. It's a farther Earth, a different Earth, kind of. Like Marvel has Earth 616, but then Earth like 88 something is like a
Oh,
different Earth.
Tolkien believed in the multiverse.
That makes sense.
Wait, like in real life?
No, I'm kidding.
I would just say it makes sense. He seems like that. He's a little bit quirky, I would say. He
don't-
believed.
Just a little bit.
I know.
I love that
He was the
description.
nerd.
He was a little quirky.
Yeah. He was I feel like all nerds are that way sometimes.
Yeah. Except he was
Oh,
extremely smart. He's like smarter than all like the
I also think,
Anyway.
Elliot, to your point, that because I mean, we can take this part out if we don't want to keep it in, but I think to your point, Brandon's understanding of religion and of God is flawed, and so for him to try to put it into a book, it's going to manifest how he views that. So not that he views his gods like ruin and preservation, but I think to an extent, like part of that's going to manifest in his writing because that's what he believes and has been taught for his entire life. Like he's been a Mormon forever. So unless you're reading a book written by a Christian or someone who has a very good understanding of like Christianity, you're not going to be able to like have that written in there. You know,
You shouldn't read books expecting everyone to have the same exact worldview as you. So when you're reading books, I think part of it is like is like kind of I don't want to use the cliched word discerning, but it's like it's like figuring out like understanding a text is like understanding what the author thinks and like finding what you believe is true in it and like having almost a discussion with the text in your mind. Like, do I think this is true? No, well, but I think this is true, but I think he misunderstands this. And it's just like, but if you read books in a way that it's like, this author does not believe, I don't believe everything this author believed, therefore this book is bad. I think that's a bad way to read books and media because especially stories, because stories are like truer than, I think they kind of hit at something very fundamentally human about us. And it's just like, stories are more than just like lies. I mean, they are lies, but they're like, there's a truth inside the lie. And that's like, I don't know, seeped into us as humans.
For sure.
But
my problem is there's one story. Well, there's one. So like every good story mirrors the Bible, the biblical narrative.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have like a Mormon worldview that isn't a biblical worldview, it reflects in the story, and it just makes it worse.
Well, I think the beauty of something.
But there's still truth. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. I think there's something that's in I cannot talk. Okay. There's a beauty in something like this with the Cosmere where we're looking at this and we're saying, oh, this is the best that like he could come up with for this. I don't know. Like, or like this is like, we may not agree with this or we may not think that this is how it should happen, but it can like point us back to Christ in the same way. I don't know. Like pointing to the person who is perfect and who is not like us.
They not like us. They not like us.
Oh my gosh. I knew you were going to say
I just like a chord into one.
Kendrick Lamar enters the scene.
Alright, we should make a video of how Kendrick Lamar points us to Christ.
Oh my gosh.
That sounds like something like a mega church would do.
But I think like similarly, like Simon was saying, like I know so many like Christians who did not let their kids read Harry Potter, did not let their kids read even Lord of the Rings, and the only fantasy books they really grew up reading were like Narnia and like I can't even think of another.
Like they couldn't read Lord of the Rings?
No, there were some people that didn't allow their kids to read that. And
but they let their kids read. They let their kids read Lord of the Rings, but not Harry Potter because Harry Potter was witchcraft.
Like Lord of the Rings.
But Lord of the Rings doesn't make sense to me.
I know, but anyway, the
that's
point
just
is
called being dumb.
yeah, it is called being dumb. But I think like something that's interesting is that people that also are like helicopter parents in that way and
Mhm.
are like, we're gonna stop our kids from reading this. Obviously, if there's like content in it that is not appropriate, that's one thing. But I think that you should be exposed to like what you don't believe in as well, because it can make you kind of think about your own beliefs.
Yeah.
Really good example of that is like I talked about this book, I think I've talked about it before, but Educated by Tara Westover, which is like
Yeah.
a memoir.
Oh, I
And
love that book.
I know. I've literally read it like 6 times. I love it so much.
I listened to it once on like a road trip.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, we
Julia
talked about
Wayland.
this for length last week, Elliot. Had you not noticed she talked to, did you
Yeah,
not
I talked
hear?
about it.
Wait, you did?
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, also Julia Wayland, who does the audiobook for Educated, her voice is superb.
Okay.
She's amazing. I think she should do every audiobook. Anyway, yeah, so
Every
Educated
audiobook.
is such a beautiful book and such a beautiful story because Tara goes down obviously this journey. She starts out being very devoutly Mormon and then like kind of questioning that at the end. And it's something where like when you end it, spoiler alert, she basically kind of becomes like
But
agnostic. And so
Mm.
it's something where like she gets to the end of it and she's like, I don't see anything that's like worth worshiping, essentially.
Mm.
Is like her conclusion. And so like similarly, like people in Brandon Sanderson's universe that's saying that, I mean, that's like kind of a
Like
stretch.
Yasna. Yasna, she's like,
Yasna.
there's gods here, but I just don't think they're
Yeah.
worth worshiping.
And it's like
And I would
Yeah.
agree. They're not
I would
worth
agree with
worshiping.
that. Like I wouldn't do that either. Like I'd be like, this is stupid. And so like then it's making you think about like the attributes. Like, and this is maybe some people don't always think about this, but like it makes you like think back to like, wow, like these attributes that God has are absolutely incredible and so different from every other like religion and world system. Like it's completely different.
Yeah.
We're not like last night I was in a Bible study and we were talking about like in First John, like perfect love casts out fear. And so like we're not living in fear under God because we know that he has this love for us. Obviously, he has judgment as well because he has to have all of his attributes work together. But
But
they're
judgment is not always a bad thing.
yeah, exactly. They're not in opposition with each other. Like they work in harmony. Huh? Get it?
Oh,
Oh,
Elliot doesn't get it.
Sorry.
Says it.
Sorry, what?
Says
I
it.
wasn't-
Says its
I wasn't
chart is
listening.
called harmony. Says it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After he gets the well, yeah.
After he combines ruin and preservation.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe Brandon Sanderson is fighting against dualism in a backwards way.
Maybe he is, and this is manifesting in his book.
No, I don't know.
Let me call him.
We'll talk about. Actually, we can talk about that when we get to Era 2 because that's actually interesting.
It is very true.
I hadn't thought of that.
With like, Wax as being someone who is such a skeptic, I think is very, very interesting to.
And then, yeah. There's gonna be some interesting scenes. Are you actually on the phone?
Yeah,
She's on the
Brandon,
phone.
were you going for pro-dualism or anti-dualism in Mistborn Era 1? Yeah, I can come over for dinner tomorrow. I don't see how that's relevant. No.
I don't think that's relevant.
Brandon, why are you picking cherries? No. Is it relevant? No, I mean, is dualism... Do you... Okay, so you take the HDMI cord, you pull it around the back of the TV, and you plug it into HDMI 1, and then you take the remote. You don't have a remote? Okay, see you tomorrow.
I have this priceless image of me and Jonas laughing and Simon looking like the most annoyed person on the planet while he's on the phone. That's gonna be our cover
That's
for
funny.
this episode.
We talked to Brandon on the phone. Like
Yeah.
that's the title.
We talked to Brandon on the phone. It's like no, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, clickbait, not
Sorry, I
clickbait
can't
in parentheses, but it actually
Okay.
My cousin is
I think
updating
we've-
Lovely, so that's fun.
Okay, what should we talk about next?
We're so...
Oh,
I mean, we
so-
could talk about.
I was
Huh?
gonna say, back to the legacy thing. I didn't get a chance to say this earlier.
Okay.
We're talking about, this is kind of on with themes. So it's really funny. So one of my friends, she's a psychology and criminal justice major. And so she's doing this study right now for like a research project thing. And essentially it's like this, you basically would read this like paragraph or two that was talking about this individual, talking about the life that they lived and the legacy that they left. And then you answered like 5 questions, being like, was their legacy like good on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, do you think that this person left behind a good legacy? Do you think this person was a good individual? Like these kinds of questions. And so like I think that was like very, very cool, like thinking about this today, like us thinking about the legacy of our characters and how like that really does change like our perception of them versus how we're like, oh, Elend and Vin, they died in this super honorable way, and so like the things that we felt annoyed about by them, we're not going to be thinking about those when
Yeah, you're not gonna hold on to that
yeah,
because they're
we're
dead.
just going to automatically think about their sacrifice and how selfless they were. Or same with like Spook. Like you're like, wow, like yeah, like we don't know exactly what happened with him in the end, but like he in the books he like had this incredible back. Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, interesting. All right. I mean, we don't need to talk about pros. We talk about Dewey. I mean, we talk about it every week, and it's pretty much the same.
Yeah.
The pros.
It's-
I also kind of already like was
Yeah, you've already
about it. I like
expelled
really-
your anger.
I kind of did, so I don't really have it there anymore.
So yeah, pros. It's exactly the same as the previous 2 books. So what do you guys think about the plot? The actual
Sorry, is my text
happenings?
message sound going through? Are you hearing my text message sound?
No, we
No.
couldn't hear anything.
Oh, okay.
What do you?
I don't know how to turn my notifications off on this.
Okay.
Great.
Devour feculence.
Were we doing Cosmere Connections now? Or are we doing a segment?
We could talk about. This is bad. Were you guys emotionally impacted by this book?
Yes.
Not
I
really.
would say, yeah. I would
actually have
definitely
something
say
to
that
say
because of
about this.
religions. The religions part made it for me.
I
Yeah.
did not.
I think
Okay.
I think this week. Okay, sorry. You go first, Elliot.
I did not. Okay, I was not really affected emotionally by either Ellen or Vin's deaths
Okay.
because it was kind of like
Mister? Okay.
it was kind of like it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because I know the next book, like we're not gonna see him either way. We're never gonna see him again because in the
That's a
next
good
book,
point, I
it's
guess.
100 years in the future.
I
So-
think for me, I don't know that I was like, oh, I'm like, was like crying when they died. That's not what happened. But I definitely was like, oh wow, like this, like it was something where I was like saddened, but I was like, oh wait, like it would have been weird for him to like still be emperor. You know what I mean? Like for me, it just was like it just didn't make sense as a natural flow to have them still be in charge. Like I think that they needed to. I think that original crew of like, that was like in like Dockson's shop and like including Ellen, I think that they all needed to like either die or move on in some way so this new like era could begin because truly they would still feel like they were like overshadowing this. You know, I don't know. Like I feel like that's
Yeah.
like vibes that I got.
Mm-hmm.
I thought. What do you guys think of Ellen's death scene? I thought his death scene was really, really good.
Yeah.
It was impactful to the story, and I think it tied in a lot of themes that
Oh my gosh.
he's wrote
Yeah.
about.
It was like it was very graphic. I feel like I was watching it happen right in
Yeah.
front of me. But it was like feel like it needed to be that way because you're watching like this is like war. This is death. This is not just like, oh yeah, and then he died. You know, it's like
And yet
yeah.
Ellen was smiling.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Oh.
insane.
I don't know. Ellen is such like a strong character. I love Ellen.
I know, yeah. He's so good. Why are you
But-
laughing?
Yeah.
Yeah, why are you laughing?
What are you laughing about? Are you
Me
upset?
or Elliot? Okay,
No, Elliot.
because I did smile / chuckle. Okay.
I think this is what
Okay.
he was. Okay, can you play the video? We can't hear it.
What's going on?
No.
Wait. How-
Oh my gosh, what are we
What is
watching?
he saying?
Why are we watching
Do you want to
Obama?
know?
Yes, I
Wait.
do. It'll explain why Elliot's laughing.
Here we go. You hear it now?
Hello, concerning Cremlings, I am Obama. I have come to tell you how read like a champ, but first, poo.
Oh my gosh, Elliot. No, this is going to be the thumbnail. Obama interviewed us.
President Obama. I don't know.
Dude, AI is too funny. Did you
That's
see what?
Sorry, never mind.
Oh, okay. Anyway, that was funny. Back to emotional impact of the book. I feel like every time we try to do emotional impact,
But
like, how can I sabotage Simon's segment?
I don't know. I didn't feel very many emotions reading this book because I don't know. Maybe because I was reading it in a week and I had to speed through it kind of.
Yeah, same.
But also just because I've read it before and
Yeah.
I know who's gonna die.
But the interesting thing,
I will say,
when I read Way of Kings, I'm still emotionally impacted by that, and I've read that
yeah.
book 3 or 4 times.
I will say, Ellen's scene. Do you guys remember when he's marching with his army and he's just like lost hope completely?
Yeah.
And then preservation like shows up like one
Yeah.
last time. I thought that scene was kind of touching.
Yeah.
Is it-
I feel like even for me, like, I guess this maybe was a negative of Brandon's writing, but like when Vin is watching Ellen die, I feel like that should have been a scene that evoked big emotions and like maybe even tears, and I just was kind of like, this feels like kind of awkward the way that he wrote it.
Yeah, you know,
When?
I know
Sorry,
he didn't. I know he wrote this before Wheel of Time, but there's a extremely similar moment. But
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm curious about that. But
Yeah.
it lands a lot more in that book. So
I think it's just interesting seeing how he's like, we're just kind of appreciating the journey, right, guys, of his writing. So
I know, and it was like before the destination. So
yeah, I think, and honestly, like, but strength before weakness.
Well, I know, but Ellen just kind of really. It was a strong example of being strong before he was weak.
Yeah, yeah. And then he became strong again afterwards.
And you know
Yeah.
did you know that before you die, there's actually life?
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro here. Let's say,
That's really
hypothetically,
profound.
I was born, and for the sake of argument, born in mist.
That one was funny.
I can't believe
Yeah,
that.
I'm focused now.
Right.
Ben Shapiro here.
So-
Let's say, hypothetically, I was born, and for the sake of argument, born in mist.
Yeah, that one
Why?
was funny. Have you guys seen that video of like someone pretending to be like if Ben Shapiro rapped?
Oh my god.
I'm sorry. I'm so sidetracking us.
It's okay. Okay, so let's try to finish out. So anything else like emotionally besides, I feel like we talked about
Spook when Spook went in at the very end of part 4
Oh,
when he went
yeah.
into that was awesome.
like I think we talked about that with his character earlier too. Like the whole superhero thing is so cliche.
When he this probably got me the most like emotionally, which is kind of sad because I didn't feel very emotions in this book. But when he was rushing on to break the dam and the canals and like let the water flow, when it said like and then he extinguished his tin, making him numb. I just thought that was such a perfect.
Mhm.
It was just like one of those payoff moments that really hit for me. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh, and now he can't feel anything. It's perfect. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's one of the instances where Brandon did need to say what his powers were doing in that instance.
All right. Sorry. I don't know
So
how to do this.
All right, should we
Cosmere
do Cosmere connections? There's
Yeah.
barely any in this book. If you don't want Cosmere spoilers, which you've kind of been spoiling
yeah.
all episode.
By the way, I'm sorry. I don't know why I made that noise. I'm gonna cut that out. Welcome to.
Oh,
Maybe I won't.
sorry.
While you're here, make sure to hit the subscribe button and subscribe, and comment, and maybe Obama will talk to you.
We're all like really gross and raspy, and Esther's just like,
very like umbrage code.
You might
Alright,
get
so-
maybe a message from Mr. Beast or something.
Or
No,
Ben
you won't.
Shapiro.
All right, so there was not very many in this book, which is a common theme of Sanderson's earlier books, which
Yeah, because he didn't really like think about that kind of stuff yet. I mean, he literally.
or he was just planning for it far away in the future.
Disgusting.
Okay, that's the other thing. I will say I'm kind of annoyed by the amount of times people make the excuse, oh, well, like, he just was gonna resolve that later in the Cosmere. He's gonna come back and
Yeah, I
I don't
understand
think that
that.
that's a good reason. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know why, but like every time I hear that, like either on a subreddit or like and like, but he's gonna expound upon that. It's like, well, he didn't, and like he hasn't yet. And Elantris has been talking about Elantris has been talked about having a second book. That wasn't worded very well, sorry. For a while, and that's not happened. And I realize that like he's a super busy person, but don't be like, I'm gonna do it though. Like that's no, like that doesn't like to me. I'm just like that's stupid.
Well, especially in a series, like if you
Yeah.
have something in a series it's just like, and if there's a big plot point in a series that never gets like
Yeah.
answered or like ever touched on again,
Mhm.
and his reason is that it's just going to be later in a different series that you need to read 50 other books before.
Yeah.
What's the point? But also
Sorry.
on the other side of that, it really, really bothers me when people say you have to read this amount of books before Era 2 to understand everything, because it's just not true.
I also think that like I'm still fired up about the Jessica Mysteries thing from Elantris.
Really? You cared that much about it?
Yes. I'm like, because every single person's just like, well, that's gonna be another book. And I'm like,
But it's
don't
It's gonna
care.
be another Elantris book.
I know it's gonna be another Elantris book, but that book has been out as long as I've been alive.
the Jessica
so
Mysteries weren't about Elantris wasn't about the Jessica Mysteries.
I
It was
realized
about
that,
the
but it was
door.
a plot point that I was upset about, and
Wait,
I'm like,
but it wasn't a plot. When was it a plot point?
It wasn't a plot point, I guess, but it just was something that I was like, why
was
is
like
it in here?
a
And you
world
guys were like,
mystery.
well, just like that's what's gonna happen later.
No.
And I'm like, okay, that's not enough for me. I didn't
I
have
feel
an
satisfied with what we have so far, but
I'm just kind of like, why does that need to be there? Like, I need an explanation. You know what I mean? But I know that's not gonna happen because I'm reading Brandon Sanderson. So anyway,
it's always another secret.
yeah.
All right, let's get to Cosmere Connections. You know, that's
Where was Hoyd in this book? Where was Hoyd in this book? I don't.
Well,
He
well,
wasn't there.
he wasn't there. Remember when Vin was going through the different informants,
Mm-hmm.
and then she talked to the Snow Swift or something like that, and then she was like, "There's another informant that there's another informant called Hoyd that I'm going to talk to," and then she got a really weird feeling. She's like, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't," and it's not really explained why.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do we think? I think we know why, though, right? Or do we?
It
know?
is explained. It is explained in the thing we're going to read very soon.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Oh, maybe
Ruin. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, the other connection is that we get the first name drop of Adenalcium.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's very important.
Which, as a dumb reader that I was, like 6 years ago when I was reading this, for the first time, I was just like, okay, cool.
Hello.
Same.
Sorry for recording the voice for this thing right here.
What?
We also hear mention of the physical, cognitive, and spiritual realm in the epigraphs. So.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think will be really cool because I still don't fully, even after Whacked and other Stormlight books, I don't even fully understand the spiritual versus cognitive realm.
Yeah.
Hey guys, back to what we were talking about.
What were we talking about?
Not really. I think some of us are like undiagnosed Dories.
Jonas, did you have anything?
Yeah, Jonas, did you have anything?
Yeah, Jonas, what thoughts did you have?
What were you gonna say, huh?
The one part we were talking about?
Yeah. What?
No, just like the one part.
That one.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You got
I
super
wholeheartedly
secret.
agree because
No,
you guys
but-
were just really animated about that.
No.
And I
You agree that
I
Say
kind of
should
just have
have
the
died?
exact same
Yeah.
reaction.
You agree that Say should have died. Okay, interesting. That's an interesting.
Oh, no, that's
Yeah,
really
I agree
weird.
with you guys. That's what you guys
Jonas,
said.
Interesting. Okay.
we did not agree with that. What are you saying?
Yeah.
Jonas, you're being a little hostile. I think I'm gonna have to
I just
remove
want you to get off your high maka maka horse and get out of here.
I'm just trying to download my voice to Ryan Reynolds' voice.
Jonas. Me the entire episode, Jonas. Every time he does something,
Oh no.
Jonas. Okay.
We got Debbie up here.
Debbie.
Debbie
Yay,
Dem
Debbie.
Petch.
Shout out Debbie.
Esther, as our resident woman, do you want to read it?
Yeah, of course. Okay.
Representative woman.
I thought you said resident.
I said resident.
Oh,
Okay. The book. Can you go up a little bit farther? Sorry.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay. 5 star. This book was absolutely phenomenal and was an epic, emotional, and satisfying conclusion to Era 1 of the Mistborn series. Sanderson is a masterful storyteller. The pacing of the book was phenomenal, and the tension and build-up grew exponentially as the book progressed. I thoroughly enjoyed all the foreshadowing that was at work in the previous two novels as well as throughout the book that led to the ultimate climax. The character development was also exceptional in this book, especially for Spook. You really get to see how each character reacts to and grows from the situation they've been thrust into. Another item that Branderson handles and explores masterfully is the impact of religion and faith on a society and individuals. Sazed's struggles with faith was incredibly impactful, particularly because of his background. I also love how Sanderson works and references back to events and tidbits from previous books in the series. It feels very natural rather than a stilted summary to remind people what happened in the previous novel, something I feel like books as Harry Potter are quite successful at. With all the characters, elements, and metallic art to keep track of, the subtle reminders and explanations are appreciated without getting in the way of the story. So she basically liked what I didn't.
She said exactly the opposite of what we said.
Well-
We said Harry Potter does it well, and this one
Yeah.
does it bad. Funny. Whoa!
No joke.
Too far.
Unfollowed. That was so funny. As we were talking. Okay. Yeah, so I mean she might like that because she likes to have stuff spoon fed to her on a platter. Sorry, Debbie.
Whoa!
Wow, that was-
Debbie, we love you, but
That was
hey,
so
come on.
cold.
You can
That's
definitely.
so-
Okay, this is so funny, you guys. You can definitely see how Sanderson's writing abilities progressed as the series went on. That is not to say that the other two books aren't well written, but this book does a great job of tying everything together. Elliot would disagree. I will say there are a few instances where Sanderson could have improved on his word choice. For example, words and phrases such as throw up and guts didn't seem to fit within the linguistics of the world and caused a minor sense of dissociation with the world of Scadrial when it is out of place words occurred. I agree. This could have easily been fixed with an alternate word choice, but this issue wasn't enough to make a negative impact on my enjoyment of the novel overall. All in all, Hero of Ages was the perfect ending to this trilogy and a prime example of a series conclusion done right. I am excited to read more of Sanderson's Cosmere universe and continue on with Era 2 of the series. Yeah, I mean, she adequately talked about it, and like we said, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. And she
Just
provided
you
good
know,
answers.
some people have the right ones.
Wrong
Some people have the
opinions.
wrong ones.
It's
But-
yeah, and it's
That's
your
what you have to discern in reading a
Well,
novel.
Yeah.
DNF. Oh my god.
Are we gonna read this?
Suck.
It's
Nope.
also a series. How could you DNF a series?
There.
What?
Yeah. Can I kill you?
No, don't do
Oh
anything.
no, let's not say that, please.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I
Not
said
to
that.
kill
Don't
anyone.
say that.
I'm actively angry that I
Oh, this is
Brando
too
Sando is
long.
racist and sexist.
Whoa. Okay.
Whoa.
What?
Okay.
Okay, Hazel.
Sexist, talentless
wait.
hack.
These are the
He's a
first two
hack?
books.
He's definitely
I
not a
don't-
hack.
Wait,
And she
I'm going
calls
to
him
this-
Elmo Venture. Go back up. She said Elmo Venture instead of Ellen.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of funny.
That is really funny.
Okay, once the
Of
review
course,
systems.
of course, she's probably mad that Vin isn't in charge, the ruler, because she's feminist.
Wait. Maybe if we actually read the review, we'd find out why she's mad.
Okay, I can read it. Brando Sander is a racist, talentless heck, and the people should know it. I'm actually angry that I spent my time of my one precious life reading this book. Okay, I guess we can just start. In the first book, we're introduced to the Final Empire, which has existed for 1,000 years under the Lord Ruler, who keeps Ska as slaves and allows the nobility to rape Ska women just as long as they kill them afterwards to prevent race mixing. Pretty horrific. Sounds like a pretty clearly evil regime, according to just about any sane moral code. Yeah, that's the point. They're evil.
Mm-hmm.
This book also features Kelsier, a Ska who understandably hates nobility and Lord Ruler as about anyone would in his situation, and she says that a lot, and who would lead a rebellion which includes sacrificing himself so the rebellion can succeed. Our protagonist, Vin, kills Lord Ruler, the final empire is brought down, all is well, except they put Vin's boyfriend, Elmo Venture, on the throne for some reason. Then in the second book, we get hundreds of pages of Kelsier, about how Kelsier is actually not great because he killed no woman sometimes. Whereas Elmo, who objectively sucks at running a kingdom, is way better because
Can I
he's
can
noble
I
and
share?
fair. Even though he's noble and fair principles help no one and don't get anything done. Not great, but salvageable.
Editing me. Hi. I just want to interject here and I don't think we said this in the episode. This review when she's talking about the second book. She's just completely wrong. She says, we learn how Kelsier is not that great, and where Elmo, as she calls him, Ellen sucks at running a kingdom, but he's way better. He sucks. That's the point. The point. She says he sucks, but the point is he sucks. The point is that he's like an idealistic man, and then his ideals get thrown into the real world, and he learns that he has to adapt. Hey, okay, democracy is good. It can be used, but sometimes you have to be a king. You have to be hard. You have to be firm. Did you read the book? I'm serious. Did you just like skim it? Did you spark notes it? What? The point is that he is called having a character arc. He starts bad and he ends up good. Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Also, why would Vin? Why would Vin be the emperor? It's not because she's a woman. She's not trained in nobility stuff. Ellen has been in the noble scene his entire life. He knows politics. He's way like politically more of a political savant than Vin. I mean, he's not the perfect. He's kind of awkward and but he's better ruler than Vin. That's just how. Oh my gosh, are you dumb?
This book, though. In this book, we find there's an actual genetic difference between Ska and nobility that makes nobility taller, stronger, and more intelligent, whereas the Ska are made to be shorter, hardier, and have more children. This was done on purpose by the Lord Ruler to create two distinct classes. Supposedly, the differences are gone now because of the years of interbreeding, but I don't buy it, because earlier in the series there was a discussion of how rare Ska Mistborn are. So clearly, if gene pools are separate enough for one group to have noticeably more Mistborn than the other, they're separate enough for divinely mandated differences to be present. Also, remember how we put Elmo on the...
What's her point? Wait, did they miss that?
Wait, can we just...
that only nobility can be Mistborns? That you have to have noble blood? Because that's a big point. Alright, there's a lot of...
Oh my gosh, she goes on for 3 full...
Yeah, we're not reading all that. Sorry, dude.
Oh my gosh.
But she likes Quellion.
She thinks Quellion's good?
She didn't say he was a good person, but she thinks he's better.
Something I forgot to say is that I really like the way he explored different like governments in this book with like the different cities and the way the different like kings of the cities like treated like dealt with the situation differently. Like for instance, Phaedrix Yeoman, I think his name, was the guy who still worshipped the Lord Ruler and believed he was still alive. And then there was Urto, which was Quellion, who was like basically the Big Brother regime, like 1984, like uber like censorship and stuff like that. And then Luthadel was what's his name, Penrod, and I don't remember actually. We didn't spend very much time exploring that. But what was interesting is that they were all being influenced by Ruin. So,
yeah, very cool theme in the background for sure.
But that's all I had to say.
All right. Is that all everyone has to say, or do we want to do any more?
I think we're good.
Were we gonna read Petric's review?
No.
Oh, I guess not.
Okay.
Because he liked the book. Is that why?
Okay, I don't think I don't think Elliot or Jonas are like...
We're not present.
Okay, so,
That's it for this episode. Thank you for joining us on our journey through the Cosmere. Next week we will be reading 2 smaller novellas. Did you want to keep going?
Say what they're called.
Come on, buddy, you can do it.
Mistborn's Secret History,
You got this.
which is taking place on schedule, giving more context and information about the other books, and The Emperor's Soul, a novella that takes place on Cell, a world that is in the Elantris universe, or the Elantris system.
but not within...
Takes place on Cell.
It doesn't
like it's a different continent.
It's not
The Cell solar
it's not
system.
I almost said Luthadel. It's not
Opalon?
Elantris and Arlon. It's not that.
Yeah. It's
Obama.
Yeah, not related.
Not Obama either. Yeah, and so you can find the schedule in the show notes. Our Instagram will also be there, but it's at @concerningcremlings_. Our email address is thecremlings@gmail.com, which will be in the description. And we have a Goodreads account now, which our handle is Concerning Cremlings. So we'll like be putting our ratings and stuff for the books that we finish and which book we're reading that week if you want to keep up with that instead of using the schedule. But yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your hot takes for this episode. Let us know if you agree with some of the things we said about the religion elements or your favorite characters, or if you hated the book. I mean, it'd be, fun to debate your takes on that as well.
You're welcome here.
Yeah.
Oh crap!
Opinions are great.
We forgot to slander Wind and Truth.
I did though.
Yeah, we did slander it in the beginning. I was actually going to say we've had a noticeably lesser amount of Wind and Truth slander.
I feel like
wonder why that is. We had the one, I think.
Yeah, I said it, and then I think because I was like, I'm excited to read more books in the Cosmere.
Oh yeah, except for Wind and Truth.
Usually we have so much.
Usually it's like every sentence we're just like,
this is good, unlike Wind and Truth.
Yeah, whacked.
Okay.
Should we when we read Wind and Truth when we're done? Should we all tear up our copies?
No, I cannot. No matter what I do, I will never throw a book away unless it has heinous material in it, where I'm nobody should be reading this, the trashy novels from Goodwill.
Oh yeah,
I dropped it.
I would throw those away, but
I thought you meant if they're really beat up. For a second.
No, I meant heinous.
So big.
I have my mom's copies of Little House on the Prairie that literally are torn up, and I have them taped together on my shelf because I'm they're so precious.
Okay.
Yeah, I think of books as
all right,
gold.
Yeah.
Until next time, life before death.
Strength before weakness.
Journey before destination.
Unless you're reading Wind and Truth.
Bye.
Bye.